Salutations, everybody. I am kinda well, and oh my god, I just saw the Slenderman movie, and I have a lot of things to say about it, and not all of them are good. The Slenderman movie came out on August 9th, and I went to an opening night showing. I was originally planning to go see the 7:20 showing with my friend Zach Schwenter, and that did not work out, and so we were forced to see the 10:40 showing. I was really tired for like 2 days afterwards. My point is I saw Slenderman opening night. Basically, I went because if you guys remember, a few months ago I made a video where I talked about the trailer for the Slenderman movie. And I remember thinking to myself, you know, I want to go opening night to that. And here we are. Before I really go into this review, I have to disclose something that may make you guys click off the video. I've watched Slenderman web series for the last few years, and they've been some of my favorite media to watch and interact with. I had seen an example of how this character has been used very well, and so I was kind of interested to see if this film lived up to that, and it does not. It does not. There are some good things about this film, but there are a fair amount of bad things. So without any further ado, these are my thoughts on Slenderman 2018. To decide whether I would talk about what I liked or what I disliked first, I flipped a coin. The plot of this film is quite bad, and that's probably because there's not very much of it. The plot of this film, of Slenderman, basically boils down to you have 4 teenage stereotypes who up because they try to summon Slenderman, and then one of their friends goes missing, and then they are like, oh, we gotta save our friend, and then they do another ritual, and then they all die. And that's the movie. The film is not really devoted to either telling a coherent story or being an interesting character study. This film is short. This film is 90 minutes long, but the thing is it's not paced well. So this short plot where nothing happens drags on. Hi, this is Editing Kai. I made a lot of comments about individual scenes in the film. I'm just going to give you guys a short selection of clips on my various nitpicks from plot points. My theater was pretty loud. The people in it were talking the whole time, so I actually didn't catch the names of half of the main characters. And I only learned the name of this girl at like the halfway point of the movie where they're texting on a phone. I was like, oh, that's her name? There's a scene in the film, there's a rule set up where if you hear these 3 bells tolling, you gotta close your eyes. It's worked for them in the past, but then she doesn't do it. It's never explained why she's the only one that gets scared, but I mean, she also just slender bait. You have these 4 friends, and they're hanging out in a basement, and they're bonding, and you get to see them together before they're put in this horrible situation, but it's not believable at all. I swear to God, it feels like they're already in a horrible situation. The jokes feel so forced. It does not feel like a real high school in the slightest. But I've talked to people who go to public high school, and they have told me that this movie makes literally less than no sense. They all go on, I think it's a field trip, and Frizz Hair 97 acts all weird, and her friends are like, are you okay? And if I remember correctly, she's like, yeah, and they can believe her, even though she's obviously not okay. Like, man, you guys are great friends! And so they just leave their friend, and then when the friend disappears, they're just like, oh, we don't know nothing about that. Plot of the movie, the main conceit of the movie, is there are these 3 girls, and they're trying to figure out what happened to their friend. And their first step is to get the laptop of the frizzy-haired girl. The frizzy-haired girl's dad, who's an alcoholic, breaks into Hallie's house, because apparently people don't fucking lock their doors. And so then they go break into his house. Guys, don't you get it? It's irony. entertain a thought with me, okay? Let's say I were to go missing, right? Wouldn't you say the police would search my room for my laptop and all my stuff? And let's say I hid the laptop in my closet. Don't you think they would also search my closet? Generally, for missing persons cases, you search well. The character Ren goes to a library because there wouldn't be a horror movie if they didn't go to the library to look up. She looks up stuff about Slenderman, and this is where we get our main exposition dump on how this film handles the lore of Slenderman, and spoiler, it does not do it well. And it's like, oh, Slenderman's bioelectric, and because he's a bioelectric creature, it means he can make people disappear into thin air. But then if you watch the whole movie, the way Slenderman makes people disappear is because a tree f***ing eats them up. Anyway, so she gets, like, ADHD and goes to talk to Hallie. It's like, honestly, you know, when I originally recorded this for the first time before the files got deleted, I was like, you know, she probably is, like, fake ADHD. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, this feels like drugs. Hallie's like, no, f*** off. And she goes on the date, and then her date, like, goes to God, I think I have the clip. Starts having a seizure, and then all of a sudden, she's like, you can't watch the Slenderman video shit. And then he f***ing watches it. In the Slenderman trailer, you see what happens to the boy, and you see what happens to Chloe, like the end of their character. And what it is they both kill themselves. Chloe, in the trailer, if I'm remembering this correctly, she stabs herself with the scalpel. And then the boy jumps off a roof. But the thing is, neither of those scenes are in the movie. And then I go on Reddit, and I find articles like this. Sony's Slenderman isn't even a complete movie. According to the article, Slenderman, as presented to audiences, isn't a complete film. Many of the striking scenes that were teased in the first trailer are completely missing from the film. Several major scenes were completely removed by the studio leading up to its weekend's release due to fear of backlash.
Excuse me, what?
And it angers me because I really do want to know what happens to these characters. I want to see it resolved in the movie. But it's not. You have the scenes shot. Put them in the movie. Anyway, at some point, I forget how this happens, but at some point, Hallie discovers that Ren actually took Lizzie, or her sister, out to do the Slenderman ritual. Which didn't make any sense to me, because I was like, wait a minute, okay. So, assuming that these two did the ritual in whatever video this is, it either happened before these four did the ritual, or after it, right? Because it can't have happened at the same time. If it happened before they did the ritual, the four did the ritual together, then wouldn't Ren already be experiencing, like, starting to get haunted by Slenderman, and would have had second thoughts about doing it at this gathering? And if it happened afterwards, she would have already started getting the symptoms and would have been like, no, sorry, we can't do it. Hallie goes to Ren's house to confront her, and Ren's like, we gotta sacrifice ourselves to Slenderman. And then that he wants us, and then she jumps off a cliff. Then Hallie saves her. And so, all of a sudden, Slenderman FaceTimes them, and then all of a sudden a tree breaks through the window and kills Ren. Rip the only good main protagonist. All of a sudden Hallie realizes she has no personality and runs into the woods. Boom, Slenderman starts stalking her. And then she runs, and there's this chase scene, and Slenderman turns into a spider. And it basically ends with Hallie gets eaten by a tree. Then at the very end, there's a voiceover by Lizzie. This is how Slenderman spreads, through stories and rumors. Sister and her friends died because of it. And then the movie ends. You think there's going to be, like, some line where she's like, I gotta fight against it. Or we have to stop this from happening. But no, that would be too good. The plot is pretty bad. I have one more problem with the film that I need to talk about. The jump scares. When is Hollywood going to stop making jump scare movies? Jump scare horror really doesn't work because it gets repetitive extremely quickly. It's the same reason if you can play a bunch of Five Nights at Freddy's games and eventually you won't get scared. You build up a tolerance to the jump scares, just like in this movie. I think if they lessened the amount of jump scares, they could still keep them in and it would be fine. So yeah, you need to take out the fake jump scares because they're irritating as Okay, I'm done with the criticizing. Let's talk about the stuff I liked. I really like the direction of the movie in terms of how it's shot. There are a lot of really nice shots here that help capture kind of this sense of desolation. In general, like, everything looks really nice in the film. This film had a pretty high budget for being what it is, and you can tell a lot of that money was used in, like, a useful way to make the film look nice. I mean, some of it was used to hire a screenwriter who didn't know what the they were doing. Yeah, visually, this film looks very nice. I do really like a lot of the shots as well as how it looks. For the most part, I can tell what's going on during the movie, which is always a plus. There are a lot of horror films where scenes that occur during the night, I am unable to tell what's going on because they have no idea how to light their film correctly, but this does not have that problem. Another thing I like is the film really is a creepy film to watch. I felt uneasy for a large part of the film, despite the fact that it never really goes full scare mode, because the jump scares get irritating, so towards the end of the movie, they don't really have the impact they should. I was creeped out by the movie. I wasn't scared, because, again, the jump scares are incredibly repetitive, but I was creeped out, and a large part of that is due to the soundtrack for this film. This soundtrack to this film is not a soundtrack you can just listen to it whenever. The Mission Impossible 6 soundtrack, I can listen to whenever. There's a lot of great action tracks in there. But this soundtrack, I just can't listen to because it makes me spooked. The soundtrack's really good, and it really is probably one of the main reasons the film has this atmosphere of creepiness to it, which really saves the film from being garbage, is the fact that there is talent behind some of the most important aspects of the film. Most of the editing is okay. Most of the visual effects are okay. Sometimes there are really shitty transitions, and it feels like it was done by an unpaid intern. But for the most part, everything looks nice in the film. It gets a thumbs up from me. So, let's see. Negatives. The film's plot is bad, and the film is not paced well. The jump scares are repetitive, and the acting is not good. But the film not only looks and sounds good, it has very nice direction. It's shot extremely well. There is a really nice layer of creepiness to the film, mostly due to the stellar soundtrack. And, I mean, if you're looking for just, like, a little spooky film to make your days a little spookier, I would recommend it. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. This film is a perfect kind of movie pass movie. I don't know if this film is worth the $15 of admission because it really is not as good as the Slenderman web series. There's really way more opportunities for scares, genuine scares, and genuinely good storytelling in terms of the internet medium. So I would recommend you go see these web series, or if you don't want to watch like the 8,000 hours that is these web series, Nightmind has fantastic series on all the web series where he goes through and he analyzes them, and it's very fun, it's a very interesting watch, and I would very, very much recommend it. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. If you've seen Slenderman, let me know what you thought of it down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.